In the ruthless world of entertainment, the pressure to be perfect can lead to devastating choices. This is the story of Gao Liu, a promising young actress on the verge of stardom whose dream was shattered by a single decision. What was meant to be a minor cosmetic procedure to boost her career spiraled into a real-life nightmare of disfigurement, financial ruin, and a tragic disappearance from the public eye. Hers is a harrowing cautionary tale about ambition and the high cost of beauty. For more deep dives into stories like this, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Before the world knew her name for the tragedy that would redefine her life, Gao Liu was just another hopeful face in the vast, glittering expanse of the Chinese entertainment industry. Born on Valentine's Day in 1995, she carried with her a dream that was as common as it was powerful. To see her name in lights, to move audiences, to become a star. This wasn't a fleeting fantasy. It was a serious ambition she had pursued with dedication. She had walked the hallowed halls of the Beijing Film Academy, an institution that stands as a beacon for aspiring actors, a place where legends are forged and careers are launched. Graduating from such a prestigious academy was a statement in itself. It meant she had the training, the discipline, and the talent to compete at the highest level. It was her ticket to the game, a validation that she belonged in the conversation. Life after graduation, however, is rarely a straight line to fame. For Gao Liu, like for countless others, it was a grind. It was a world of auditions, of callbacks, of trying to stand out in rooms filled with equally beautiful, equally talented young women. The industry in China is a relentless pressure cooker, a dazzling machine that manufactures stars, but also consumes them with an insatiable appetite for perfection. In this world, talent is only part of the equation. The camera is an unforgiving judge, and the public's gaze, amplified by social media, is even more so. Every feature is scrutinized, every angle is analyzed. A narrative had taken root in the culture of the industry, a quiet but persistent whisper that suggested your career, your very future, could hinge on the line of your jaw, the shape of your eyes, or the bridge of your nose. Gao Liu was navigating this world with a growing portfolio. She was building her career piece by piece, role by role, proving her worth. She was a working actress, a singer, and she was getting noticed. Her efforts were beginning to pay off. She had secured parts that promised to lift her from the crowded pool of emerging artists into the more rarefied air of recognizable talent. The most significant of these was a role in a television series called Road to Rebirth. The title itself seemed auspicious, a perfect metaphor for an actress on the verge of a breakthrough. In the show, she was cast as a character named Lu Dan, a part that offered her a chance to showcase her range and connect with a wider audience. Landing this role was a milestone. It was the kind of opportunity that actors work tirelessly for, the kind that can change the trajectory of a career. It meant bigger scripts, more prominent roles, and a step closer to the dream she had nurtured since her days at the academy. The future looked bright, filled with the promise of work and the potential for stardom. Yet the whisper of the industry was always there. In a world where beauty is not just an asset, but a currency, the pressure to be flawless is immense. It is a silent weight that many performers carry. For Gao Liu, this pressure began to crystallize around a single specific thought. A friend had made a suggestion, perhaps casually, that a small change to her nose, a micro adjustment, could make her even more beautiful, more photogenic. This was not an insult, but a reflection of the industry's mindset. It was presented as a helpful tip, a key to unlocking the next level of success. The idea, once planted, began to grow. It wasn't about disliking her own face, it was about optimizing her chances. She looked at the top stars, at the idols whose faces graced billboards and magazine covers, and saw a certain kind of perfection. She began to believe that this small, seemingly simple procedure was the one thing standing between her and the future she so desperately wanted. The decision to go forward with the surgery was not born of simple vanity. It was a calculated risk, a strategic move in a high-stakes game. She saw it as an investment in her career. The logic was seductive. Endure a few hours of surgery and a short recovery period in exchange for a lifetime of better opportunities. She had contracts signed, including for Road to Rebirth and another project. A quick procedure, she was told, would have her ready for filming in December or January. It seemed like a manageable timeline, a small pause before a great leap forward. She was thinking like a professional, trying to gain an edge in an impossibly competitive field. She was not just chasing an abstract ideal of beauty. She was chasing job security, financial stability, and the fulfillment of her artistic ambitions. The tragedy was not that she wanted to be more beautiful, but that she felt she had to be in order to succeed. She placed her trust in the hands of medical professionals, believing in their promises of a swift and successful outcome. As she prepared for the surgery in October of 2020, her mind was not on the risks, but on the rewards. She was thinking of the roles she would play, the stories she would tell, and the career that was finally, truly about to begin its ascent. She stood at a threshold, believing she was stepping toward a brighter future, entirely unaware that she was about to walk into the beginning of a nightmare from which she would never fully awaken. The 4 hours she spent in surgery were supposed to be the final barrier between the life she had and the life she wanted. When Gao Liu was wheeled out of the operating room at the Guangzhou clinic in October 2020, she expected to feel the discomfort of recovery, but underneath it, the thrill of a successful transformation. Instead, a different feeling began to dawn on her, a cold dread that crept in as the anesthesia wore off. The initial swelling and pain were worse than she had been led to believe, but it was the days that followed that turned her anxiety into sheer terror. The tip of her nose, the very feature she had sought to perfect, did not begin to heal. It became irritated, then inflamed, a constant, throbbing focal point of pain. The clinic's reassurances started to sound hollow as her condition visibly worsened. Instead of healing, her skin began to reject the procedure in the most gruesome way. The tissue started to darken, a terrifying bloom of black spreading across the tip of her nose. This was necrosis, the death of flesh, a complication so severe it felt like something from a horror film, not a routine cosmetic surgery. Her dream of a refined profile was rapidly decaying into a disfiguring nightmare. The hope she had carried into the clinic was replaced by a suffocating panic. She was rushed to a hospital where the stark reality of her situation became undeniable. For 61 days, a hospital room became her world. Each day was a cycle of pain, fear, and a devastating confrontation with her own reflection. The mirror showed her not the star she hoped to be, but a victim of a catastrophic error, her face marked by a spreading blackness that symbolized the death of her career before it had truly begun. The physical pain was immense, but the psychological toll was immeasurable. She later confessed that during this dark period, the thought of ending her own life felt like a possible escape from the unending nightmare. For months, she suffered in silence, her vibrant public life replaced by the sterile quiet of a hospital ward. But as her physical condition stabilized, a new resolve began to form within her. She realized her silence would protect the very people who had caused her so much harm. In February 2021, Gao Liu decided she would not be a silent victim. She took to Weibo, the massive Chinese social media platform, and broke her silence in the most dramatic way possible. She posted a long, raw account of her ordeal, accompanying it with unfiltered graphic photographs of her damaged nose. The images were shocking, a stark contrast to the carefully curated perfection common on the platform. The black, necrotic tip of her nose was there for millions to see. She described the surgery and its aftermath as the beginning of a nightmare, sharing the full depth of her suffering with a public that had last known her as a promising young actress. The explosion of public reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Her post went viral, and a wave of sympathy and outrage swept across the internet. Her personal tragedy became a national conversation. But beyond the public validation, the real-world consequences of her botched surgery continued to cascade. The career she had invested everything in was in ruins. She was, of course, forced to withdraw from her role in Road to Rebirth and the other projects she had lined up. Her face, the primary tool of her trade, was now a source of trauma and uncertainty. This resulted in a direct financial loss of around 400,000 yuan in forfeited income. The nightmare, however, did not stop there. The contracts she could no longer fulfill contained clauses for breach, and she found herself facing the terrifying possibility of having to pay up to 2 million yuan in damages. She had sought the surgery to advance her career, and in a cruel twist of fate, it had not only destroyed her physical appearance, but had also plunged her into a deep financial crisis. Gao Liu's courageous decision to speak out did more than just share her story. It ignited a firestorm of scrutiny aimed at the cosmetic surgery industry. Her high-profile case forced the public and authorities to confront the dark side of a booming, poorly regulated market. The Health Bureau in Guangzhou immediately launched an investigation into the clinic responsible for her procedure. It was soon revealed that the institution was not even qualified to perform the type of complex nasal surgery she had undergone. Her ordeal exposed a dangerous gap in oversight, proving that her case was not just a freak accident, but a symptom of a systemic problem. By sharing her story, Gao Liu had transformed her personal pain into a powerful cautionary tale, becoming an unwilling advocate for patient safety and a symbol of the devastating human cost of an industry that too often prioritizes profit over people. The initial storm of public fury in early 2021 gave way to a somber and uncertain quiet. While the legal and regulatory wheels began to turn, scrutinizing the clinic that had maimed her, Gao Liu herself faced a far more personal and arduous journey. The damage to her nose was not something that time alone could heal. It was announced in May of that year that she would require further, more complex reconstructive surgeries. This was not a simple touch-up. This was a daunting medical odyssey to rebuild what had been destroyed. Each procedure would carry its own risks, its own painful recovery, its own psychological burden. The physical path ahead was one of clinical precision, scalpels, and sutures, a stark and terrifying contrast to the glamorous world of film sets and stage lights she had once inhabited. The emotional road was even more treacherous, a landscape of trauma, anxiety, and the profound grief that comes from losing one's career, identity, and sense of self in a single, catastrophic event. Then she disappeared. After her brave and explosive revelation on Weibo, after sharing her pain with the world and forcing a necessary reckoning, Gao Liu retreated from the very public square she had commanded. Her social media accounts, once active channels for a budding star to connect with her fans, fell silent. The updates stopped, the photos ceased. The vibrant digital presence that is essential for a modern performer was extinguished, leaving a void where a promising career used to be. This was not a temporary social media break. It was a profound and prolonged withdrawal from public life. Whether by deliberate choice, needing to shield her agonizing recovery from the glare of public scrutiny, or by the sheer weight of her psychological trauma, she vanished from sight. Her story, which had been a headline, a trending topic, a public crusade, became a private struggle. The world moved on to the next news cycle. But for Gao Liu, the consequences were permanent. Her career was not just paused, it was indefinitely suspended, frozen at the very moment of its potential ascent. Now, in the summer of 2025, more than 4 years have passed since she last addressed the public. In the fast-moving world of entertainment, 4 years is an eternity. New stars have risen, new faces have captured the public's imagination, and the industry machine has churned on. Gao Liu's absence has become a defining feature of her story. There have been no announcements of new roles, no triumphant comeback interviews, no whispers of her returning to the industry. Her silence is an answer in itself, a testament to the depth of the damage she endured. Her name is now inextricably linked not with the characters she played, but with the cautionary tale she became. The cruelest irony of her entire ordeal remains enshrined in the title of her last known project, Road to Rebirth. The television series was meant to be her stepping stone, a platform for her own professional rebirth into a new level of stardom. The phrase suggests renewal, a second chance, the triumphant overcoming of adversity. Within the fictional world of the show, her character, Lu Dan, would have embarked on a journey, facing challenges and likely emerging stronger. But for the actress playing her, reality scripted a devastatingly different plot. Her road was not one of triumphant renewal, but of agonizing deconstruction. Her rebirth was a public exposé born from private horror, a transformation that took her not toward the spotlight, but further away from it, into a life of quiet recovery and unknown battles. The title hangs over her story like a tragic epitaph for the career that could have been. It is a constant, poignant reminder of the chasm between the hopeful narratives we consume on screen and the often unforgiving nature of real life. Her legacy, therefore, is a complicated one. She is a ghost in the machine that broke her, a vanished actress whose story serves as a permanent, chilling warning for aspiring performers in China and beyond. Her name has become shorthand for the darkest risks of pursuing physical perfection under industry pressure. Her experience laid bare the predatory practices lurking within the booming, often under-regulated cosmetic surgery market, forcing a conversation that was long overdue. Her graphic photos and raw testimony did more to highlight these dangers than any government report or journalistic investigation could have. She paid an unimaginable price, but her sacrifice created an awareness that has undoubtedly saved others from similar fates. She became an unwilling advocate, a symbol of the profound human cost of beauty standards run amok. Yet, this public service offers little comfort for the individual at its center. Her story ends not with a resolution or a neat conclusion, but with a profound and unanswered question. Where is Gao Liu now? Is she healing? Has she found peace? Has she discovered a new path, a different kind of rebirth away from the public gaze? The world may never know. Her final act was to reclaim her narrative from the clinic that harmed her, and then to reclaim her life from the world that watched her suffer. Her enduring silence is the last word in her tragic story, a powerful and poignant testament to a dream that was shattered in the desperate pursuit of making it come true. Gao Liu's story ends not with a triumphant comeback, but with a profound and haunting silence. Her promising career was sacrificed for the pursuit of an impossible ideal, leaving her legacy as a tragic warning about the dangers of the cosmetic surgery industry and the immense pressures on performers. While she vanished from the spotlight to heal in private, her brave decision to share her ordeal created a lasting impact. The questions surrounding her current life may never be answered. To continue exploring compelling stories that deserve to be told, subscribe to our channel for our latest videos.